Top 10 Common Myths About Cannabis. Cannabis is likely the world's most famous easygoing use drug that is unlawful in many countries. It has become so boundless that numerous individuals wouldn't mull over requesting to illuminate at a companion's or to smoke out in the open spots. It is an old medication that has been utilized from the beginning of time for clinical, enchanted, and pleasurable purposes. On account of the alarm strategies of publicity during the 1960s and 1970s, there are numerous fantasies encompassing the medication. This rundown means to set things on the right track unequivocally. 10. Fat storage myth. Cannabis active ingredient THC gets stored in body fat and its effects can last days or even weeks. Fact. It is true that cannabis, like many other drugs, enters the body's fat stores, and it is for this reason that it can be detected long after use, but that is the only part of this myth which is true. The fact is, the psychoactive aspects of the stored cannabis are used up quickly, and while the residue of the drug remains, it no longer has any effect on the person. Furthermore, the presence of THC in body fat is not harmful to the fat, the brain, or any other part of the body. 9. Memory loss myth. Cannabis use causes memory loss and a general reduction in logic and intelligence. Fact. This is another legend which has components of truth to it, almost certainly the explanation it is accepted by so many. Research center tests have demonstrated that cannabis lessens the transient memory, however, just when an individual is inebriated with it. An individual who has taken cannabis will have the option to recollect things learned before they took it, yet may experience difficulty learning new data during inebriation. There is no logical proof at all to propose that this can turn into a long-haul or perpetual issue when calm. 8. Scientific proof myth. Cannabis has been scientifically proven to be harmful. Fact. Let us start with a statement. The smoking of cannabis, even long-haul, isn't hurtful to well-being. This statement comes from the Friend-surveyed British clinical journal The Lancet, founded in 1823. There is positively no logical agreement on cannabis use, and unquestionably no logical confirmation that easygoing use is perilous to well-being. 7. Loss of motivation myth. Cannabis use causes apathy and a lack of motivation. Fact. Truth be told, considers done on guinea pigs in which they were given a high portion of cannabis routinely over a time of days or weeks found that there was no misfortune in inspiration or capacity to perform. Obviously, maltreatment of any inebriating substance over extensive stretches will diminish an individual's capacity to work ordinarily, however, cannabis is no better or more terrible. Besides, examines demonstrate that cannabis clients will in general have more generously compensated positions than non-clients. 6. Crime statistics myth. Cannabis causes crime. Fact. A few people accept that cannabis use prompts brutality and hostility, and that this, thus, prompts wrongdoing. In any case, the realities simply don't pile up. Genuine examination into this territory has discovered that cannabis clients are regularly more averse to perpetrate violations on account of its impact in lessening animosity. Having said that, as a result of the quantity of countries that have banned cannabis, most clients on the planet are actually named crooks just for having the medication. 5. Brain dead myth. Cannabis kills brain cells. Fact. Cannabis doesn't bring about any significant changes in an individual's psychological capacity. The facts demonstrate that subsequent to taking the medication, a few people can encounter frenzy, suspicion, and trepidation. These impacts pass and positively don't get lasting. It is feasible for an individual to devour such an extensive amount of the medication that they experience the ill effects of poisonous psychosis. However, again, this isn't special to cannabis and is uncommon. 4. Gateway to other drugs myth. Cannabis is a gateway drug. In other words, it leads to abuse of more potent drugs. Fact. For the vast majority, cannabis is an end drug, not an addictive substance. Clients of high-quality medications, for example, heroin or LSD, are likewise factually bound to have utilized cannabis previously. However, this is simply playing with measurements. When contrasting the quantity of cannabis clients and hard drug clients, the numbers are tiny, proposing that there is no connection by any stretch of the imagination. 3. Modern potency myth. Cannabis is more potent now than in the past. Fact. The explanation that this fantasy has come about is that examples taken by drug authorization offices are utilized to test for intensity. However, they are a small example of the cannabis available. By far most of cannabis taken today is a similar intensity as it has been for quite a long time. Indeed, regardless of whether the strength were incredibly higher, it would have little effect to the client, as cannabis of fluctuating power delivers fundamentally the same as impacts. Besides, there is measurable information on cannabis strength going back to the 1980s which is more solid than present strategies for identification, and that shows practically zero increment. 2. Lung damage myth. Cannabis is more damaging to the lungs than cigarettes. Fact. Most importantly, individuals who smoke cannabis, however not cigarettes, will in general smoke far less much of the time, in this way restricting their introduction to the perils in the smoke. Besides, smokers of cannabis are not breathing in the numerous added substances that go into business cigarettes to cause them to torch quicker or to remain land. There has even been some proof that pot smoke doesn't have similar impact on the bronchial cylinders as tobacco smoke, so even hefty use may not prompt emphysema. 1. Cannabis and addiction myth. Cannabis is highly addictive. Fact. Short of what 1% of Americans smoke cannabis more than once every day. Of the substantial clients, a little minority create what has all the earmarks of being a reliance and depend on the help of medication recovery administrations to quit smoking, yet there isn't anything in cannabis which causes actual reliance, and the most probable clarification for the individuals who need help is that they are experiencing issues ending the propensity, not the dependence.